what are some suggestions you have for balancing the use of tools by Agile teams?
Ooh.
Are there methods for making sure the team gets the value from the tools without over-focusing on the tools? Interesting question.
That is a very interesting question. I know where I would go with my response to the team, but I'm going to let you guys start them off.
So what was it? Depending, how do you get it? Make sure that they're not dependent
Yeah,
too much on the
Oh, is it
tools?
dependence? I thought it was just over focus.
No, over. So, are there methods for making sure the team gets the value from tools? So you want to get value from the tools. We know there's value,
Right.
But we want them to be. We don't want them to be over-focusing on the tools, not just tool focus, right?
Yeah.
Just the right balance of use of tools.
Yeah.
Would Jira be a tool?
Jira be a tool, Rally be a tool, version 1,
Yeah.
any of those tools. Trello.
I mean, I guess the first question, or not question, but the first thing I'm curious about is what gets teams so obsessed with jumping into a tool? Is it because it just makes life easier, or efficiency? Okay.
So I've got a team, right? So the first thing I do with the team was, when they're face to face, we use the sticky whiteboard. That's the first thing I teach them how to use, right?
Right.
Yeah. Cool. I don't use any tools, but I don't introduce anything, so introduce that first.
Yep.
Yeah.
Second time around, we're remote now, so I introduce real-time or Miro now, right?
Miro,
Right? They all love
Right.
that.
Still a whiteboard though.
Still whiteboard,
You've
right? Still
avoided,
whiteboard,
you've
right?
avoided, yeah.
And then we put the stuff into Rally.
Okay.
So the next version, as soon as you put it in Rally, it's like, wait a minute, it's all there. We can just easily move them around. So let's have a conversation with the tools
Yeah.
instead of actually, whiteboards.
If you have the time to do that progression, that to me is the best way to do
I
it.
agree.
That's the best way to find a balance, because otherwise the team, I have some horror stories of teams who started off, they said they wanted to be agile, and instead of learning about the framework, someone said, here's Rally.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And
yeah.
that's how they learned
Yeah.
about, and of course they're completely focused. In fact, they were not even pointed at the basics, they were pointed at portfolio and all of the other things.
Yeah.
So they became totally focused on what they weren't doing.
Yes.
And that's the opposite of your
Opposite,
story,
yeah.
right? That's the worst possible way to do it.
Yeah, so I think I do see something similar too. I've seen teams like that.
Yeah.
I think that I'm going to use metaphor, analogy, whatever you want to call it, but I was having a conversation with someone that I knew that she just started working out, and her trainer wanted her to learn how to do Turkish get-ups.
Oh yeah.
And a Turkish
yeah.
get-up is when you got the. So you had to look it up.
The kettlebell.
So you got a kettlebell. You're laying down. You have a kettlebell, and what your goal is to keeping the kettlebell up. You have to get up, stand up with it. But the way that the trainer had her first start, the first few weeks, was don't have a kettlebell.
Right.
Hold your hand up, learn how to turn over, get on your side, do all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Before you ever, and she made her do it for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then on week 3, here's a 8-pound
Yeah. Small
weight. So I look at the tools
Uh-huh.
as very similar to what you're saying. The tools are like that weight. At the very beginning, let's get on a whiteboard and let's just
do that.
focus on learning the mechanics and the form.
Of communication, of workflow, not. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting that, and then after that, if you want to start using a tool, now that you know what to do at a whiteboard,
Right.
and you want to start using Jira and all that, now you know this is how we do our stand-ups.
Yeah,
Well,
and the features seem way more cool too. If
Yeah.
you're used to using a whiteboard, you're like, wait a minute, we can add look at all the room we have for notes, because on a little sticky, you got one sentence, right?
Yep.
So,
I think
I agree.
another thing is look at your ecosystem. So this is something that my teams have struggled with, is our tools cannot be configured by our teams. They're configured by a third party.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So now whenever we want to make a simple workflow change, because it makes so much more, for the team it's like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. We should have a fifth column on our board.
Yeah.
Now it takes weeks and
Months.
like red tape and configuration, where I'm like, we could just do this on a whiteboard, guys.
Why don't we just do it?
Let's
Yeah.
just do it on a whiteboard. The ability to change,
Yeah.
if you're not using a tool,
Yeah.
super
So much
fast. Yeah. You're in control of your own destiny at that point.
Yeah, so as you guys were talking, as something popped in my head, it's like, so this is assuming like, all I know of is that I have a phone, right? I can use the video to call somebody,
Right.
right? So all I know. I asked my daughter, Megan, can you call me?
Yeah.
So I guess sure that, so she started using, the Wi-Fi, the WhatsApp thing to call.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's like, can you call me? Why didn't you call me? Well, I don't have internet. Like, but you do know there's a phone.
Yeah. There's a
You don't
phone
have
in there
phone
too.
feature in here, right? She's like, what is a phone?
That's hilarious. There's a
Is that
phone. You know, there's a phone feature in your phone. Well, yeah, tools. Well, there's a reason. That's one of the core values, right? Is tools, are secondary, right? It's people and processes, or people and communications and
But I've seen-
relationships over processes.
So I've seen also the people where you start the process and then you sell the tools. It's like, ooh, this is so fancy, this is so cool, and they get stuck on it because the tools has some specific way of calculating velocity and say, here's how much you should commit, and and then they get like, oh, well, the tools say this, so I should do that.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? And so, you kind of touch on another piece of kind of the evolution of Agile and the work in the business of Agile is people are very fixated on data, and they want to get as much as they can, and so those tools are great-ish. The tools can collect data, but if it's just like any other data, it's only good as the process that you use to capture it. And all too often people are like, look at this team's data, they're just skewed horribly. It's like, yeah, well, they're not using the tool correctly either. So you have to count that into it. And like, no, it says it right here. Like, well, there's about 8 manual inputs to get that data, and they use 2 of them. So of course their data is going to be skewed. So there's a problem with capturing it, and people need to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
I sure feel like I focus on business leaders a lot. I feel like I'm like calling them out. but
It's all good.
Sorry. I love you guys very much, but stop doing some of the things you do. No, it really is about, now if a team is disciplined to do it, great, but remember, you're now slowing them down to capture all that data.
Yes, it comes at a price.
Is that really what you want to do? Is that your focus, or is your focus delivering working software?
That's right.
And
Absolutely.
I think the one, because I think all of us have gotten at some point, the question of, how do I increase efficiency, how do I increase velocity and all that. And people are so enamored with metrics and numbers and KPIs. And really, I don't know who it is. Somebody wrote something. It's like, why aren't we focused on outcomes?
Yeah.
Let's just focus on outcomes. Are these guys doing what they're supposed to be doing?
Going back to
Are you
the
delivering-
principles,
are
right?
you doing
Working
software? That's it.
software is our
Yeah.
primary measure,
Yeah.
right?
That should be the one.
Yeah.
I mean, if your customers are happy,
Yeah.
you're delivering on time,
Yeah.
and your code base is healthy,
Yeah.
somewhat healthy.
Hey, these sound like Agile principles.
Oh.
Charles. You just named 4 of the 12 principles. Yeah.
But I think that maybe, and this is the old developer now, I'm going back to one of your questions. Is this tied to the PMI, PMP way of thinking, where it's like we need to have metrics and numbers and all this other stuff? I mean, I don't know. Is it?
I think
Is
it's
it an artifact of it?
I think RJ, you hit it right in terms of evolution, right? We didn't have data before.
Yeah.
Now we have the ability to collect data.
Yeah.
And we have all this instant data that we get that helps us, analyze things.
Right.
Right. So that, the thoughts of, if I got the more data they collect, the better I can get at, analyzing it and then improve, inspecting, and adapt to it, right?
Yeah.
So using data to inspect that. I mean, that's what we say, that Scrum is based on that.
Yeah. Well, it's back to your original question, is the finding that balance.
That's right.
Yeah.
If we can find just enough data that is the minimal amount of manual input,
Right.
I agree.
the better off we are, right?
If your developers are spending a third of the time on a story, putting stuff in Jira or Rally or any of these different
Doing it
things,
wrong,
you're doing it really wrong. Like, oh my God. And you know what?
Yeah.
They're not going to be happy developers.
Yeah, everyone's going
All right, I think we killed that one.
All right.